Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rebral Selects. My name is Tristan Vanek. I'm your co-host for the evening, along with Sir Joey Krafchick. How you doing this evening?
Can't complain. I'm ready to get into next week's best bets and see if we can crush the slate this week.
Totally. So we just watched Thursday Night Football. What'd you think of the game?
Yeah, I thought that personnel-wise, Green Bay and Detroit were pretty competitive and at home in a division game. The Packers, they probably could win, Lambeau getting raucous, but right now the Packers are transitioning. Their offense is kind of makeshift. We've seen them succeed at times the first few weeks, but at the end of the day, they really were the team that had 0 points through 3 quarters last week and then just randomly scored a bunch in the fourth quarter. So the Packers don't really have it together right now. The Lions do, and I should have seen this coming. I think I should have seen that the Lions were more coherent and that they were going to win this game.
All right, well, let's get into the Cerebral 7, your 7 best picks of the week, your 7 selects of the week. So far, we've been 60% through this early season. Let's get right into it with 2 juggernauts going at it, Broncos and Bears. You had a cerebral index of 98 on the over here. 2 bad defenses. What else went into this calculation here?
Yeah, well, saying that they're 2 bad defenses does not do these teams justice. The game should be over. The over should have hit by halftime in this one. There's going to be some turnovers in their own territory deep, setting up the other team. There's going to be some long plays, some long pass interference penalties. These are the kind of things that these teams will have happen. I expect a lot of points here, and any time you have the 2 worst defenses clashing, it's an easy decision to just take the over at whatever number, because when you're not playing any defense, the other team scores.
Simple math there. Well, you also have the Vikings giving 4 at Carolina. That's a 97 on the cerebral index. So Minnesota's getting their first win this week?
Yeah, I think so. So the Vikings are now 4-point favorites at Carolina. The Panthers actually showed that their offense has life. Last week, Andy Dalton was in for Bryce Young, and he passed for over 300 yards. So he's still got it, but the guy we saw the first 2 weeks in Bryce Young just was not ready to play, and I expect more of the same this week as he's supposed to start. The Panthers defense, they've really been hurting the secondary. J.C. Horn went out early in the season, and now they're down Xavier Woods, so they are short on their DBs, and last week was a good indicator as the Seahawks passed for well over 300 yards on them, and the Vikings have a really good pass offense, so the Vikings are going to be passing it all over Carolina. They are just simply a better team right now, and I think they should win by a touchdown or more.
We'll look forward to seeing them light up the Panthers. Our next pick is Cincinnati at Tennessee. We've got the under 41 with a 97 cerebral index rating. Both teams have averaged about 15 points through 3 games, so under feels pretty safe here.
Yeah, so we got the Bengals going to Tennessee, where they are 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under, as you said, is 41. The Bengals and the Titans are 30th and 31st in points scored so far. And yeah, it's still a small sample, but what we've seen from Tennessee especially is a really horrific offensive situation right now. And obviously, we all believe in Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Yeah, they can probably get it together. And in fact, I think this game they'll play well. They'll win comfortably. And I just don't understand how the spread can be so small. We saw the Bengals defense get their act together last week, and they shut down a really good Rams offense for the most part. So this matchup against the Titans should be a really easy one for the defense to win. I don't think the Titans will get much of anything this game. I only think they'll score about 13, maybe 16 points. The Bengals offense, they have not been able to throw it deep at all, so they've resorted to the short throws, and they're going to be dinking and dunking. And Tennessee, their defense is pretty competent. They're going to play the Bengals tough. They're going to make them work for some of their yards, but at the end of the day, the Titans just don't have enough in the tank to keep up with the Bengals, and I think the Bengals win this one 21-13.
All right, so we got Bengals giving 2.5 with a 96 cerebral index rating. Moving on to the Chiefs at the Jets. You've got Kansas City giving 10.
We have the Chiefs playing at the Jets this week, where they're 10-point favorites. This one is another one. It kind of writes itself. We got Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league, going up against Zach Wilson, the worst quarterback in the league. And the Jets' defensive line, I mean, they were really good last year, but They just have not had it this year. And even if they did, they're going up against the Chiefs' offensive front, who's just really strong, especially considering that the Jets' defensive line has not looked good. The Chiefs are just going to run right over them, so they're going to control the clock, run it on them. If the Jets gave up 150 rushing yards to the Patriots last week, a lot of teams are going to be rushing it on them, so the Chiefs are just better in every matchup. The Jets' DBs might slow down the Chiefs' wide receivers a little bit, but so long as the Chiefs can run the ball and drop it off to Kelsey, they're going to be just fine, so they should easily beat the Jets by at least 2 touchdowns in this game, so I love the Chiefs with the 10 points.
And you got Swifties on their side now. You think Taylor's going to be at the game?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's hooked.
So moving on to Patriots at the Cowboys. You got New England getting 7 here. Walk me through that one.
So the Cowboys offense through 3 games has kind of proved my preseason prediction right. With Mike McCarthy calling the plays, it's not going to be so glamorous. And last week at Arizona, things kind of fell apart a little bit. It wasn't a complete horror show, but they're not the offense that they were in the last year or two. So this week, especially going up against the Patriots, it's not going to be the week, if that week even happens, where they just break out on offense. The Patriots are going to have a good game plan. They're going to keep them in check. I really would not be surprised if the Patriots won this game. I wasn't a big fan of their team preseason, but to start off the year, I'm kind of liking them a little bit more. Their defense is just brilliant. Their offense looks a little bit better. So they're not a Super Bowl contender or anything, but they're a competitive team each week, and 7 points is a good amount, so I expect them to keep it close, and it's a good bet.
All right, and for our last Cerebral 7, we have the Jags versus the Falcons in London. That also has a Cerebral index of 95. The Jags giving 3. Tell us about that game.
This year's London game starts off with the Falcons playing the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are 3-point favorites. The Falcons last week did an experiment with their passing game, as we talked about in the last video, and it failed really badly, so they're going to be trying to run the ball again. Actually, Jacksonville looks like they have a pretty good rush defense after the first 3 games. I think that this is actually not a great matchup for the Falcons. The Jaguars defense has some good talent at all levels, and at the end of the day, it's just going to be hard to win games when you're losing the quarterback matchup pretty significantly, especially in this game. I know the Jaguars haven't been glamorous to start the year, but some wacky things have happened, and Doug Peterson's a good coach. He's going to keep them upright with a good attitude, and they're going to come back passing it, trying to exploit the holes in the Atlanta secondary that they have every single year. So Jaguars are a good matchup. I think they'll win this game by a touchdown.
All right, well, we'll tune in early to see that one. Moving on to the stay away of the week, we got Eagles, Commanders. Philly's favored by 9. Why does your cerebral math here tell you lay off of this one?
Yeah, when I was looking ahead to this game last week, I liked the Commanders with the points. It was at 7.5. But after the outcomes of the games this week, then it changed to 9 because the Commanders looked as bad as possible and the Eagles looked as good as possible. So the Eagles are back. We know that. No one can stop that offensive line. The receivers are unbelievable. They're going to just score points every game. It doesn't matter who they face. But the Commanders last year were the one team that actually held them in check. The Eagles, the first time they played, scored 24 on them, and the second time they only scored 21, and the Commanders won that one outright. Washington's team has a pretty tough defense. Last week things got out of hand because the offense kept turning it over and getting sacked, but with a fresh start against the Eagles, I think they might compete in this game. Of course, I could see a scenario where the Eagles just win by 20, but I think on average it'll be about a 10, 11-point game, somewhere around there. So at that spread at 9 points, it's just too close. We still don't really know exactly how good Washington is, so that's a game you want to lay off of.
So there you have it, your Cerebral 7. Thanks for having me on, Joey, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for coming on, and good luck to us going 7-0 this week.